story of origin. Let's start there.
She called me one day and said, Mom, we need to talk. If your child ever says we need to talk, it's never anything good.
Like, what signs do people look for? How does it manifest?
Addiction is feeling that I need to be fulfilled in a different way. And so there's a connection that is lost. And it's not necessarily with people, it could be with themselves.
Today I have Katie Donovan on. She's a professionally trained and certified family recovery coach, interventionist, as well as an addiction recovery coach. This career change happened after experiencing the addiction journey firsthand with her daughter, Brittany. Katie and her daughter, Brittany, co-founded a blog where they dig deep into their journey at amothersaddictionsjourney.com. Our episode is so good. We talk about boundaries and connection and community and just seeing each other for who we are. Addiction's an issue. It's a huge, scary thing, but connecting to each other and helping each other through these journeys is where the solution lies. I'm excited for you to listen to the interview. So without any more further ado, here's our talk. Thank you for joining and listening in today. I have Katie Donovan to share her story that is going to inspire all of us. So thank you for joining us, Katie.
Thank you. So excited to be here, Jen.
Okay, so your story starts almost like, give us your story of origin. Let's start there.
Suburban mom, right? Kind of the typical family. I had an amazing corporate career. I worked for a semiconductor. I was global head of global marketing. My husband works in IT, 2 kids and a dog, typical kind of family. I was the PTA mom and the Girl Scout leader, and just really our house was the house that everyone hung out at. And I loved it because especially when you have kids, you want to see who their friends are, who they're hanging around, and get to know them, right? Get to know their stories and their families. And, no one's a perfect parent, right? But I was trying to be as involved as I could. And then my oldest daughter really started to struggle with depression, anxiety, and I took her to the therapist. This particular therapist prescribed her Xanax. This was back in 2008, prescribed her Xanax. And I thought, wonderful. Didn't know any better. Wonderful. I filled the prescription. I chose to fill that prescription. I chose to give it to her. Fast forward, she didn't have a choice in becoming addicted, which then led to going from being a straight A student to barely graduating from high school in her senior year. And then something even more shifted, and I didn't realize what was happening. I just saw my daughter slowly slipping away. And then she started dating a boy. He played hockey, seemed like a really good kid. And little did I know that he had been injured due to hockey and had been prescribed Vicodin. And they started taking that on weekends. She didn't drink. She didn't smoke pot. She was taking these pills. And during this time period, I'm trying to balance my corporate career. I traveled a lot internationally. Usually once a month, I was either in the UK or in Hong Kong or Singapore, somewhere, and trying to have that balance and control over what's happening at home, even though I'm not at home, really became very, very difficult. And I was feeling so stressed out in so many ways, but doing everything I could to make my daughter better. But I didn't know that she was addicted. I had no idea. Her whole attitude was changing. She didn't want to be around the family anymore. And so, long story short, she moved out. And about 3 months later, she called me one day and said, Mom, do you want to meet for lunch? We need to talk. And, if your child ever says we need to talk, it's never anything good.
Right. I know.
And I'm driving to Applebee's, and I kept racking my brain on the way of what could she want to talk to me about? And then it hit me. I thought, oh my gosh, she's pregnant. And how am I going to react to this? And literally in 5 seconds, I had her entire life planned out. How do I tell my husband? How do I tell my mother? Right? All of these things. And when I got there, she gave me a hug, and I thought, girl, you're so skinny. Let mama get you a burger or something. And she just held my hands across the table and started crying. And she said, Mom, I think I'm addicted to heroin. And I froze because that word scared me so much. And again, in that hot second, I went from fear to anger to I didn't raise you this way, all in my head. right? It's all going. And then I thought, how I respond to her in this moment is going to set the course of our next steps. And usually I'm that person when it is a super stressful situation, I remain calm. It's like you go into fix-it mode. Okay, all right, we got this. We got this, right? And I just hugged her. I hugged her. And our thing is hand in my heart, forever apart. We just say hand in our heart, and we know that we're always with each other. I said, hand in my heart, baby girl. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for reaching out. Granted, that was 15 years ago. And she's been on this journey up and down since. I was clueless about addiction. I had no idea. And in the beginning, I really did think that this was a choice, a moral issue. You are who you hang around with type of thing. And I went from scolding to loving to buying everything to I was so desperate. And in the meantime, it was increasing. She was getting worse and sending her to treatment in different states, 5, 6 different states over the years, and, hundreds of thousands of dollars into whatever I thought could be healing. The one thing I never did during that time period when I was losing my mind was ask her. I never asked her. I told, you need to do this. You just have to do this, right? If you would only do this. I never asked. And I never gave her the opportunity to try and heal on her own with my love and support. But as I'm going through hospital stays and overdoses and seizures, I'm now experiencing this trauma right along with her. And I remember one morning, I just felt pulled in so many different directions. I'm trying to be a good mom to my youngest daughter and shield her from the things that are happening. My husband and I are fighting. You're enabling and you're too hard. And everything is just, I felt like an absolute failure, all aspects of my life. I'm now postponing some of these travel for work because I'm afraid to leave. I'm afraid, what if something happens? And one morning, my husband called me and he said, hey babe, can you take the garbage out? I forgot. Obviously not a big deal, right? And I just lost it. I started screaming and crying and I jumped in my car and I just took off. And I drove and I drove and I drove and it was pouring down rain and I'm screaming at the people on the road and I'm screaming in the rearview mirror and I'm screaming at God and I'm just screaming at everyone. And I just kept saying, I just want everyone's pain to go away. But why do I have to fix it all? I'm failing. All I thought about was, I just drive my car into a tree. Your pain will be gone. And how do I navigate across this expressway without hurting anyone else in the meantime? But oddly, I didn't want to die. I wanted the pain to go away, and I didn't know another way. By the grace of God, my husband found me that day sitting in a grocery parking lot, and I was in almost a catatonic state. And he just kept saying, you got to get help. You got to get help, Katie. We need you to. You forgot about us. And I realized in that moment, he was so right. I was so busy trying to save my daughter, Brittany, that I forgot about my husband. I forgot about my youngest, Brooke. I was there, but I wasn't there. So the first time that I reached out for help, I went to a therapist and shared some things. And he said to me, stop killing your kid.
What? Yeah, that's heavy.
And so I said some swear words in my head and I left and I never went back, right? And then I tried to go to some support groups. And what they were sharing was, you just got to let go. You just don't have any communication. Kick her out, the tough love, all of these things that didn't feel natural to me. But I thought, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do. And I did it. And it was very, very difficult. And actually what was happening was our relationship was deteriorating. Instead of, I realized my intent was almost manipulation. I thought if I say these things, that's going to make her wake up, quote unquote, right? But really it drove her further away. And so I needed an outlet for my healing. So I started to write, and I've never written before. I'm not a writer in general, but I just started to write. People said to journal, and that just felt weird. Write down your gratitude, like blah, 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 right? And but I just started to write about how I was feeling and the experiences. And this was back in 15. And so then I thought, well, maybe I should have a blog, but not for anyone else, just a permanent place like that it will be historically, I guess. So I started to build this website. I have no idea what I'm doing again. I'm watching YouTube videos and pressing pause and doing what, they said to do. And so my girlfriends, I have an amazing set of girlfriends still that I've known from elementary school. And they said, Katie, gosh, you need to share this on Facebook. And I'm not really a social media person, right? And I thought, what? I'm still in my corporate career. I'm afraid for anyone to know. And it wasn't, people talk about shame. I was never ashamed of my daughter, ever. I wanted to protect her from others judging. I was worried about my youngest daughter. What if her friends' parents may see this and say, you're not allowed to go hang out with Brooke, right? And so we sat down as a family and I said, I'm thinking about posting this on Facebook. And I said, but if anyone is hesitant or uncomfortable, game over. I won't do it, right? We all have to be okay with this. And everybody was. Everyone was so supportive. In fact, my youngest daughter said, Mom, if those friends say that or those parents, then they're not the right friends for me. So, right? So one day I took a really big, deep breath and I put one of my blogs just on my, Facebook little Katie Donovan page, my own personal one. And all of a sudden it kept being shared and shared and shared. And then my website crashed. I thought, what did I screw up? Because I don't know what I'm doing. And so I called the host server people and they said, you have to upgrade to a higher plan because you've reached the maximum bandwidth. And I thought, what? What does that even mean? They said I had over 1 million people reading my blog, going to my stupid little website that I built in 146 countries. And this happened in a matter of weeks. And this was early age of, Facebook. And I just thought, I'm laughing and I'm crying. Like, this doesn't even make sense. And then I'm getting all these messages from families. Your story is my story. I was a good mom too. Like, how did this happen? And I didn't feel comfortable with being so hard and almost punishing, thinking that's like when they're children, right?
Right.
Taking things away. And that's when I realized my job was just a job. I worked for a semiconductor, right? This was fulfilling for me. I needed to make an impact. And whether that impact was really more for here, an impact to fill my heart. And it was becoming so healing for me that talking to these moms and realizing that there is a better way. There is a better way, and to focus on a connection and a relationship, and what that looks like is different for everyone. But I said to my husband, I think I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna be a family coach. And he's like, what? Literally, because I was the breadwinner. I had the benefits, right? All of it. And he has a good job. It wasn't that, but it was. And after he got over his, initial shock, he said, whatever you got to do. The mission means so much more. We'll figure it out, babe. We'll figure it out. I just want you to be happy. And so I'm going to start crying because it's been the most beautiful, impactful thing, meeting the most incredible people in the entire world that have been shunned in life, people who are broken. And these are the most courageous, strong, incredible humans that I've ever met. And I'm so blessed to be in this position to help families focus on not necessarily saving their child, right? What is most important? It's having a relationship and being able to now be yourself. Go on those trips with your husband. Go on those dates with your husband. Act like you're fresh in love again, even though it's so hard because you've been disconnected, right? Because this impacts the entire family. It's not just one person. And so I don't even know how and things what happened, but then I started getting called for speaking engagements and then it turned into keynote speaking engagements. And then I'm flying across the country for this. And then Time Magazine calls and I'm like, what is happening?
I love this.
It took on a life of its own. And I have had a hard time keeping up because it blew up so quickly. I had to pull back a little bit on even writing because I couldn't handle what was coming in. But it's all about boundaries in our lives, and that's when it comes with our kids and our love with relationships. Whenever there is any kind of sickness or challenge in a house, in a family, it does affect everyone. And really, it's how we're responding to it. My husband and I were fighting because we kept blaming it on addiction or blaming it on her, but really it was how we were handling it. And to look at it from that perspective of, I'm not going to say, don't talk to me until you get 6 months sober. I'm going to love you as you're on this journey. Because if we put parameters on what we call unconditional love, then it's not, it's conditional. I'm only going to love you if.
And how many places does that spill into our lives? The if, right? I'm going to celebrate if I get here, or when I'm there, or at this destination in the future. And we do that, and we can't do that in relationship with ourselves. We can't do that in relationship with others. And the funny thing about mountaineering is people always ask, like, what was it like on the top of Everest? What was it like on the top of Everest? I go, the lesson that I learned most from Everest is that you're at the top for maybe 20 minutes, and then you have to go down. And you spent years dreaming, years planning, all this time away, all this stuff, that if you're really just doing it for that destination, you miss the whole journey. So it's learning how to handle the setbacks and just experience all the range that happens in all the things that we do, and find acceptance, right? And in acceptance, we find love.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're so, I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds. I'll be happy when I get that new job, when I get the new apartment, when I fall in love, or what have you. And the happiness comes from the journey.
Yeah. And when I hear you tell this story, right? Like, you felt you were alone and you're trying to protect everything and just keep everything quiet, right? Just because that we're natural protectors as moms. And then when you said, hey, is it okay if I post this? And then you realized so many of us are on the same journey, whatever journey that is. And that connection with others in the same space is what gave you the courage to continue. And that's for all of us, whether we're dealing with addiction or growing a business or a family or whatever comes our way. The natural instinct, I think, is to close down and protect. But the true growth and healing and opportunity comes from letting go and opening up, right? Because look what you've been able to do with it. Like, look at your story. It's amazing.
I have to pinch myself some days because it doesn't feel, it's almost that imposter syndrome. Like, I'm just this mom from Macomb, Michigan, right? I'm no one special. And then my friends or my husband even, but you are. And it's almost feels uncomfortable to think that, but it's also when you connect with someone with that same lived experience, it allows someone that comfort level, that trust that I can share to without being judged. Whatever that journey is, like you said. And some people, in fact, I just had this comment the other day. So my daughter has been to 32 treatment centers over the years, in hospitals and psychiatric and you name it, right? And I've done some crazy things that I'm not recommending, but pulled her out of drug houses and running after dealers with baseball bats. Like, what am I doing, right? Again, not recommending. But it was, someone said to me, aren't you just tired of waiting for the miracle to happen? And I thought, but the miracle did happen. The miracle is that she's still alive. The miracle is that she's still fighting, that she's not giving up. The miracles that we have are literally all around us every single day, but we're not looking at them as that. We're not embracing it. It's got to be this big old thing. Doesn't have to be.
Right. Well, and the miracle is, from my perspective on the outside, is that this horrific journey that she's been on has allowed you to write, which has allowed this to be voiced, which has allowed people to connect, there's so much beauty in this horrific experience. And it's healed so many people because she's still trying, right? I mean, she still has that fire in her belly to make a difference and become, and we're all cheering and watching.
Thank you. And it's whatever our kids choose to do in life, or what path they take. And it's up to us. Yes, we want to encourage them because we know the special gifts that they have. But if they're happy working at a car wash instead of being, a heart surgeon, isn't that most important? Is that happiness? And I also, my youngest is a sophomore at Michigan State University. And when she was graduating, all the questions were, where are you going to college? Where are you going to college? What are you going to college for? And it wasn't, what are your plans? What are you thinking of doing? It was so college focused. Now she did go that route, but I think of, well, yes, we want to push our kids again for education, etc. But what if she decided not to? Was that going to be judged?
Right. Well, and I have 7 children, right? And one of the things I've noticed is everybody's like, who do you want to be or what do you want to do or whatever? And so I always make it a point to ask them, what do you like best about your life right now? Like, what is your favorite thing about your life right now? And in fact, one of my son's friends came up to me and said, no one ever asked me that. They always ask me where I'm going or where I need to be or what I'm going to do. No one asked me how I'm doing right now. I like that. And it just like that pause and that reflection caused us to say, like, I'm going to make sure I always ask, what do you like about your life right now? Because we need to teach to appreciate the present. And we do that by the questions that we ask. And then that gives us, space to say, I'm going to let my future unroll and I'm going to know what it looks like because I'm here and I'm confident in what I'm supposed to carry forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Going through this journey with Brittany, it taught me a lot about myself. Things that I didn't realize I needed to work on in life. And so this whole journey has ironically been the biggest blessing. It's almost been, I don't want to say a gift, but it has not only brought my entire family closer, stronger. We know how to communicate better. We appreciate what is going on right here, but I'm doing that with everything in my life.
Yeah, I listened to this journey and I wonder how you balance caring for yourself in this whole piece, because there's so many things that are trying to distract you or pull you or say like, hey, I need you, I need you, I need you. How do you stay strong in what Katie needs? Like, what does that look like for you?
I read books. That is it's almost like going into my little cocoon in another world. I'm not a big TV watcher. I don't like fluff talk. I want to dig deep, and digging deep into conversations or digging deep into a book, digging deep into just my retreat time allows me to refresh. It gives me that strength. I love to bike ride, and I'd stopped for a long time when my daughter was going through her journey and I wasn't working on myself. And the first time that I said I had to force myself to get back on my bike again, and I put my headphones on and I put on Pandora and I just felt so free. And I was crying as I'm riding my bike because I realized why did I stop? Why did I stop? But sometimes as moms, we do forget about ourselves. And it's doing things like that, as well as ensuring that my husband and I have our time no matter what. We both do that. We literally date night, right? Date hour.
Yeah.
It's right. A meeting just like anything else, right? 25 years later, you gotta do it. And we golf. That's our healing together. We golf as much as we possibly can. But it felt selfish in the beginning. It felt selfish to turn my cell phone off during dinner. But I realized I need to be present and be where my feet are at and not thinking about the grocery list or the doctor's appointment or all the things that I need to do and make these videos and right. When I'm here with Jenn, I'm here with Jenn. When I'm there at work, I'm here at work. When I'm right here with my husband, I'm present. That has helped me so much stay grounded.
That's a great lesson for all of us, is just learning to be where we are and let go of all the shoulds and coulds and possibilities that are always there and will always be there. So learning to separate between the two. For sure. So how, obviously, you've had these great communication skills. You've had this amazing supportive environment that's been a wrestling match at times, right? Where it's not all perfect and we've exploded. And from that rupture, you've been able to repair. What advice do you have for people that are in this and trying to build that community so that they have that space to rupture and repair?
I think as a society, really, with all of our relationships, sometimes we're so focused on stigma, judgment. We're focused on, I'm right, my beliefs are right, and it turns into this never-ending argument, never-ending circle. And can you truly look at something, someone, your relationships, anyone in your life with compassion and focusing on connection? It's okay to have a conversation with my husband now and say, gosh, it really hurt me when XYZ happened. And in the past, maybe him or I would say, oh no, but that happened because, right? We were both trying to win, and we do this in all aspects of our lives. When we stopped doing that and literally just said, I'm sorry you feel that way. Thank you for sharing. That's when the healing began. That's when I was able to apply this to all of my relationships in my life. And when they say listen to your kids or we're not listening to people, it's because we're always in this mindset of I'm right, you're wrong. But really, if we just listen, doesn't mean you have to agree, but you're honoring them. You're honoring someone, right? And so my daughter can call me and say, Mom, I haven't used in about 12 hours and I'm feeling really sick right now. And I just say, I'm sorry, baby girl. That's really gonna suck. That's it. I love you, Mom.
Well, it's the whole scene, right? You're seeing them instead of trying to prove your point. You're just accepting that, okay, that's your truth. I see you. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. As hard as it can be to be a part of it. I mean, I can't even fathom. My mama bear instincts are so crazy, right?
Yes. But it took me a long time to get here. And it has just brought not only peace in my heart, but peace in my family. And it's also when I coach other families, it's bringing everyone together. It's not just a one-on-one. It is talking in this way to look at we're all in this together. We're all on the same team here, and we're all going to hurt and heal and be offended and love hard and in all different ways. And let's accept each other for that.
So families that are going through this, you coach them, you help with interventions and all these different things. What is the common thread that you see? Is there like a common, because for you, when I hear the story, you were there, right? You were involved, you were all the things, but what signs do people look for? What things how does it manifest?
It usually begins with the loss of connection. Usually addiction is feeling that I need to be fulfilled in a different way. And so there's a connection that is lost. And it's not necessarily with people. It could be with themselves. There also could be mental health things that are going on, which is traditionally, and in about 70% of cases, that something isn't addressed, something isn't identified. And when they start to withdraw, when they start to, maybe they were normally truthful about things, or you felt like you had a really good relationship and you're catching in these small little white lies, right, that they turn into big things. These are some of the signs and symptoms of any kind of addiction. And approaching it in the way of, it feels like you might be struggling, instead of, I'm going to drug test you, I know you're lying, right? And because these are, who's going to respond to that? I'm not. But I think as parents, we go into our fear is causing us to react this way. Our fear of, I can't control this. Our fear of, we're going to nip this right now and you're going to do what I say. We're so used to, right, when our kids grow up, we teach them, don't touch the stove, look both ways before you cross the street. And then we're actually doing the same thing when it comes to addiction. We go back into that mode almost when they were children. We're not treating them like the adults that they are. And so many feel like, I'm done. I can't even take this anymore, right? I'm done. But really what they're done with is chaos. They're done with not knowing how to fix it. So oftentimes it is easier to say, figure it out, I'm out. But it's harder that way. We're trying to force something and growing in strength in that relationship instead of trying to force it. Now, there are times where it is extremely critical that this needs to be addressed immediately. Right? But there's other times, for example, a family I'm dealing with right now, husband drinking a case of beer every day, has it in his car, goes out at lunchtime, he stops for happy hour on the way home, and when he gets home, he cracks open the beer again, and he's sleeping before dinner's even ready. Wife has been fed up, right? Over the years, just over it. Fast forward, she called me the other day, and she said, I'm so mad. He went to work. He didn't stop at the bar. He came home and he cracked open a beer. How do you go all day without drinking and then you crack open a beer when you get home? So here we go again, Joe Smith. And I said, look at what he did do. He really pushed himself to not drink all day. He didn't go to that happy hour. So this is where we're loving them and meeting them where they're at. Honor his accomplishments. Honor that trying. We go on diets, we go to the gym. We all like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, if you want to look at it that way. But can we honor that this man is trying so hard, but it's not perfect in our eyes. So I have to look at that, and I want families to look at that too. It's about connection and honoring. What are you willing to do? What are you comfortable doing? Is it therapy? Is it talking to a coach? What is it?
No, I like that. And just knowing that these are all cries for connection and not necessarily connection with others. Sometimes it's connection with themselves. And that's a really important thing, because I think sometimes we always make it about us, right? And like learning how to just hold the space of that discomfort and whatever, and trying to be as supportive as possible. It's fascinating how it manifests in all different ways. So what is a tip that you would leave people with today that have addiction struggles in their family unit or that they're close to?
If they want to approach their child, loved one, don't do it when they're under the influence. Never do it when they're under the influence, because you're doing it from being emotional, usually upset, angry, fear, all of it. Do it at a time when he's calm, you're calm, and you've written down what you want to say. You're prepared. You're coming to it and always leading with love. Remove the words you need to, you should, and exchange it for I love you. How do you feel about this? I'm concerned. We try and control everything, and opening that space to have a conversation and embracing what they say. They might not respond at that moment in the way that we want, and that's okay. But you planted the seed of, when you are comfortable sharing, I'm not going to respond in a way that maybe I did in the past. I'm working on myself too.
That's powerful. All right. So in our show notes, we will have resources for people if they're dealing with addiction or need assistance. So also know that we'll have all ways to reach Katie, because obviously she's a wealth of knowledge that can help in this space if anybody's struggling at any level. I just want to thank you for sharing your story and having the courage to step into this, all of it, and connect with others and empower all of us through our own journeys. And there's so many lessons here that are not just applicable to addiction, but applicable to all of our lives. So thank you.
I appreciate you so much, Jen. Thank you again.